Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, and welcome to what's kind of an update video, but also it's going to be me showing off a personal playthrough of mine that I'm pretty proud of, I'm not going to lie. But first, I'm going to get to the updating stuff just for the nerds and geeks who aren't really into the 2 series too much, are here for more of the Let's Plays I've done in the past and all that jazz. So, real quick, just want to explain why there's been a lack of videos going on. The past couple of weeks for me have been pretty hectic. I went from I went to going to a convention with my friends to getting my job that I'm now at and doing the training and all that to now working at the job. And this is actually the first week of working, so it's been a little hectic. And it's not that I haven't been able to find the time to record because I have actually recorded some things. I just either I wasn't proud of the recording and decided to scrap it, as is with the last Marvel Nemesis extra video I did. I actually did the video, but actually hated it. And I've actually done this video too, but it was super long, and I was kind of like, I'm pretty sure I can do it shorter, so I don't want 40 minutes of a video. That's just way too long. And either that or it was kind of like with one of the WWE videos I actually did. I did a Monday Night Raw. I was a little bummed out by the grade I got at the end of the episode. That was kind of just like not in the mood to do SmackDown for a little while. I was kind of just like, I don't want to do the WWE. I was kind of bummed out from doing it, and yeah, it just kind of bummed me out. I really didn't know what to do on that SmackDown as well. So that's kind of explains the shortage of videos, along with me being playing a little bit of other games, mostly Grand Theft Auto, and hanging out with some friends. But either way, now that we're all done with that, I wanted to talk about or show off my personal playthrough of TNA. I've actually started this playthrough, I believe it hasn't been a full year yet. Let me actually go back and we'll look through the history real quick. So I have completed a year of TNA, like a technical year, but we started in April of 2015, so it's almost been about a full year now. Oh, I don't know why I went back to that. And I'm actually really proud of what I've been able to do with TNA. I feel like I'm risen it up in popularity. I'm still a cult company, but we've increased popularity in America and Canada. We were increasing it in other countries until I lost my deals in there, and because the places just wouldn't renegotiate with me, it sucked. So that kind of has gone down, especially in Australia, which I'm a little bummed out about, but whatever. So, but I've been able to rise the popularity. I've been able to get some big stars, as you might be able to see now, or you'll see. And I built some stars up from my own, and I'm going to explain some things throughout this. Hopefully the video is not too long, and I'm just going to get into it right now. So right now we're looking at all my main eventers. I have Austin Aries, who was a face not too long ago. The whole story I've been doing with Austin Aries right now is how he's promising to be, I'm going to be a world champion in TNA again. It's happening soon. And he had a fatal 4-way match that involved Angle, who was the champion at the time, Bully Ray, Ethan Carter III, and himself, which he lost, and he didn't get a title shot because he was in a very brutal feud with Bully Ray. And then finally he got a title shot against our current champion, Ethan Carter III. We'll talk about him in a few. And he got a title shot at late December against him, lost the match against EC3, and then got another title shot against EC3 in January of 2016 that also involved Bobby Lashley. And the story I like to imagine where it happened there is Lashley hits a spear on Austin Aries, and then Ethan Carter III hits the 1%er on Lashley and then pins Aries to get the win. And then, Austin Aries comes out the next night on Impact demanding a title shot of his own, which leads to Lashley saying that you're the one that got pinned. I get another title shot, and they have another match. Bobby Lashley beats Austin Aries, and then we lead to Ethan Carter III and Lashley at our last pay-per-view, and then Austin Aries cost Bobby Lashley the match because I also did the 8-card stud tournament. I brought that back in my playthrough this year for TNA. And I had Austin Aries actually make it to the finals of that tournament against Bobby Roode, but then fall short to Bobby Roode, which, is another opportunity lost for Aries because now he's not going to get the world title shot that he keeps telling everybody, I'm going to be a world champion by the end of the year. So he took it out on Bobby Lashley in the main event of that night and cost him the title against Ethan Carter III, just to be like, you're the reason I'm not in the title match tonight. And then he turned heel, and right now he has a broken jaw, but at the last show I did Feast or Fired at the end of the month for February, and Austin Aries was, so confident. Like when he won his Feast or Fired, he was in a Feast or Fired match against ACH, who I brought in not too long ago. I'll get to him. Um, who I want to say Kenny King, but I don't believe it was Kenny King. I can actually check match history real quick. It was Homicide. It was ACH, Homicide, and Sabre Jr. I'll get to those guys later, of course. And he won one of the Feast or Fired briefcases. That's how I did Feast or Fired, by the way, since I can't put like multiple, like I can't put 4 of the briefcases on the line and give it to different people in the match. So that sucks. So I did like fatal 4-ways for each briefcase. And Aries won his briefcase, which was turning out to be a shot at the X Division or the U.S. Championship, which I created on myself. I'll get to that a little bit later as well. And then we did the reveal where Aries got, showed off his and then he gets the X Division title. So now he's kind of, I just missed another opportunity. Instead of me getting the world champion shot that I wanted, I now either get an X Division or a United States title match, which I could care less about. So he's not only, broiled in a feud with Bobby Lashley, but he's still, it's building up to I'm losing, I didn't get my title shot. So we got that feud going on with Austin Aries, and it's going to lead to him probably cashing in his briefcase to feud with the X Division champion, then coming up short once again. And I'll probably have the X Division champion, which I'll get to him later, cash in option sheet to most likely beat Ethan Carter III. But we'll get to that later. Then we have Bobby Lashley. I'm not going to go too in deep about Bobby Lashley because he wasn't like too special to me. I had him in feuds just to have him in a feud because he was there. Most of the time to probably put someone over. He feuded with Kurt Angle for a bit when he was world champion, but right now he's kind of in that big feud with Austin Aries, So this is like the most I've really done with Bobby Lashley right now. Then we have Bobby Roode, which he was in a pretty big feud with MVP not too long ago that led to a face turn for Kenny King. It was mostly big for that. It wasn't like big because they were like heated rivals. It was just that was the feud that led to Kenny King turning because Roode was getting in King's head like, why do you let MVP treat you like that? He always dogs on you, stuff like that. And then Bobby Roode won the 8-card stud tournament, which gives him a title shot at our next pay-per-view, so it is going to be Ethan Carter III versus Bobby Roode for the title. But I'm not putting Bobby Roode over most likely. It's just going to be another person in the notch of Ethan Carter III's title reign. Then we have Bully Ray, who's been a little bit of a problem for me because he has he's not the nicest person in the world. He's got a lot of backstage problems, and but it's okay to have like a few, not a lot of backstage issues. But Bully Ray's there, but he definitely, is very prominent. He always seems to pop up with an issue with somebody. Bully had a huge feud. It was my #1 feud, and he actually had my best match with Kurt Angle over the TNA World Championship. Him and Bully had a great feud that went on for like 4 months. They had a one-on-one match and they had a ladder match, which was the best match in TNA that I've done so far. I think it was an 81 rating. Not the greatest match, but for me it was the best match for TNA since most of my matches are either C's. Luckily, sometimes I'll get a B- here and there, but I am a cult company, so those are good grades to me. Then we had a dog collar match, which was the third match of the 2, and then I also had the aforementioned Fatal 4-Way match. It also had Austin Aries and Ethan Carter III in it, so that was kind of the last match between Bully and Kurt Angle, which then led to Angle taking on Ethan Carter III for the title. So EC3 I built up. Most of his feuds when I first started up were just feuds to build him up. It wasn't, it was all the build up to get him to Kurt Angle. He's remained undefeated, unpinned, unsubmitted in singles action. I mean, he's lost tag team action, but he's never been pinned himself. Him and Angle also had one of the better matches. I believe they're tied for my second best match. It was like EC3 and Angle, and then Bully Ray and Kurt Angle for tied for the second one, and then you had the ladder match between Angle and Bully that was first. Ethan Carter III I built up for the World Championship, had him beat Angle at our big pay-per-view, our #1 pay-per-view, our WrestleMania, basically Bound for Glory. I didn't do a Bound for Glory series last year, stupidly. I'm doing it this year, though. So EC3 beats Angle. I had him go on the feud with Austin Aries, and then he feuded with Bobby Lashley, and now he's feuding with Bobby Roode. He's also defended his title against Cain, which we'll get to him in a couple moments, and Rob Van Dam, who I brought in as an occasional wrestler when he returned from a hiatus. Then we have Gunner, who I've kind of built up. I wasn't intentionally trying to make him a main eventer. He just kind of brought himself into that. He recently won the World Championship Feast or Fire briefcase. He was against, I actually remember, it was against Bully Ray, Kurt Angle, and I actually forgot the last person. Holy crap. Hold on. Bully Ray, Kurt Angle, and MVP for the World Championship briefcase. So he's going to get a World Championship match. It's most likely going to lead to him being, screwed over like he was in the history of TNA. He actually won the Feast or Fire briefcase with the world title, and James Storm screwed him over. He's in a team with a person I brought in myself, Chris Hero, called Riot Act, and they haven't held any titles yet or anything together. They had a tag team title match together. They lost to our current champions, which is James Storm and Bram, the Revolution. I'll also get to them in a few moments. And then right now he's been in a feud with Bully Ray, and Bully's been, kind of getting in Gunner's head, costing him matches. Chris Hero's usually the one taking the fall because he's distracting Gunner, and Hero's getting irritated. So most likely it's going to lead to Gunner cashing in for his shot, and Chris Hero costing him his title and turning on him, and then a feud between those two. So I don't believe I'm going to be doing anything much with Gunner because he's not too impressive in the ring. But I guess he's got maybe if he builds himself up a little bit. And then we have Cain here. Cain was actually let go by WWE when his contract expired. And, I clicked on him just to see if he would negotiate with me, and he would. And I was like, what the heck? He's got some popularity. I can have him put over young stars, help me gain popularity because he's popular as well. And I can also do what's a dream match to some. I feel it's a dream match, so that's why I'm doing it. And right now he's in a feud with Abyss. I'm doing that dream match right now, and then it's actually going to lead to them teaming together. Cain actually won the Feast or Fire tag team briefcase. Not employment history, my apologies. He went on against Tyrus, Eric Young, and Bobby Fish, and he won the Feast or Fire tag team briefcase, and it's going to actually eventually lead to him saying to Abyss, like, why are you taking this from James Storm all the time? Like, why don't you be the monster you once were, team with me, and let's beat these two for the tag team titles, and then Abyss will most likely turn face, and I'll have them reign as tag team champions for a little bit before having them put over a young team, because they're both on the decline. And then we have Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle and I'm actually John Gubrick. I'm playing as the guy in TNA that actually is the booker right now. And I thought that was kind of cool. Me and him actually developed a strong friendship. I'm not really sure how, but maybe during his reign. He wasn't happy when I took the title off him, though. I actually just sent him a new contract. We're renegotiating right now. Angle at the moment is just a big name putting over young stars. He's definitely reached his prime. I don't think I'm going to give him another reign as TNA World Champion. He might slip in another title reign and then maybe a tag team or something with a young guy. I'm not sure. At the moment, I'm actually probably going to lead to his next big match is going to be putting over our X Division champion when he has his option C. He's not in a feud at the moment. I'm not really sure what to do with Kurt Angle. I wanted to put Tyrus over him and have maybe him help Tyrus move up, but I accidentally put Kurt Angle over all 3 times without realizing. So that was my bad, but Angle is pretty big. He's our number 1 star at the moment, but he's not our most popular. Ethan Carter III is actually the most popular. I'm actually really proud of what I did with Ethan Carter III because, you know what, let me show that off real quick. EC3, I believe, is like a 50 popularity starting off in here, and then I brought him into a 70 popularity. So I actually think that's pretty cool. He might have been lower than that. He might have been a 60. I don't really remember, but I'm a little proud of what I did with Ethan Carter III. I really built him up, and I'm hoping to make him one of the stars. I'm a big EC3 fan. So here are our upper mid carders. We have Bram, who is one half of the TNA World Tag Team Champions. I had him and James Storm formed together. He added Bram to the Revolution, and they've been reigning as tag team champions for a little while. They defeated the Hardys for them. Both Jeff and Matt are no longer here. I originally was doing owner goals, but I stopped doing them because it would have prevented me from signing Kurt Angle, and I'm like, I'm not losing Kurt Angle. Not only is he one of my best friends, which adds to my backstage, but at the same time, he's a huge name that I can keep putting over, and I'm not going to let one of your stupid rules, your owner things, let me fail that because of that. So I decided to turn the owner goals off, but I didn't do it before that, so I released Jeff Hardy because he had issues with the law in the past, and then Matt Hardy was just a problem, so I ended up releasing him when he had a third strike on his drugs or something. So they defeated the Hardys, and they've just kind of been reigning as tag team champions since. They feuded with Riot Act, and right now they're feuding with War Machine, and it's just kind of a hold-up feud to kind of help bring War Machine up in popularity a little bit. They're not going to lose the titles until Cain and Abyss most likely. Then I have Pope D'Angelo De Niro, who I don't get to use too often because he also works with New Japan at the moment, and I kind of cheated to keep him signed. Originally, D'Angelo De Niro and another person I brought in, Paul London, were on their exclusive paper appearances, and then when New Japan came in, they went with them, and I was like, I didn't want to lose them, so I changed it to paper appearance and made their freaking days remaining longer, but they won't negotiate with me. They're leaving when their deals are expired, and I'm just going to let them do that. I don't get to use these guys too often. It's mostly only with pay-per-views anyway, so at the moment they're just kind of doing nothing. I'm hoping maybe New Japan lets them go, but it hasn't happened since, so I have no idea when I'm going to be doing any, if I'm going to be able to keep them around anywhere. But here's the Pope. I wanted to make him actually a pretty big world champion in my company, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I'm a huge fan of D'Angelo De Niro. I love his Elijah Burke gimmick, but you know, what can you do? Here's Davey Richards. He's currently our TNA X Division champion. I had the Davey and Eddie feud with the Hardys for a bit. Didn't do, you know, it wasn't like too great, but it wasn't too bad either. It was just an kind of feud. And then, you know, I like Davey. He's probably my favorite out of the two of the Wolves, and I figure, you know, why not give him an X Division title match? And him and Kenny King put on a good match, so then I decided to put the title on Davey in their next match. And ever since then, he's been blowing me away with his matches. He's had a great feud with Homicide, which I was impressed with. Right now, I brought in Sheik Abdul Bashir, which is Davari to many people know him better as Davari, and he's been doing some pretty good matches with Davari as well. And the idea right now that I'm thinking of is to have Davey Richards take option C after he feuds with Austin Aries when he cashes in the briefcase, have option C and beat Ethan Carter III for the title, and be the first person to, you know, defeat EC3. I think that would be pretty big, and I don't know, maybe build Davey as like the future face of TNA. Who knows where I'm going to go with that. Then I have Drew Galloway, who is not only the TNA US champion, but the very first ever TNA US champion. I believe he defeated Homicide, Matt Hardy, and Magnus for the TNA US championship. And right now he's been doing pretty good. I've been building him up. I also want to make him one of the big faces for the you know, the company. I would like to see him in EC3 feud at some point over the World Championship. So maybe if he loses the U.S. Championship before that. At the moment, I am thinking about putting the U.S. title on Chris Hero next after he feuds with Gunner. So if it's before Destination X, I'll definitely have Drew Galloway and Ethan Carter III feud. I think that'd be a great feud for the U.S. or the World Championship. Then we have Eric Young, who I haven't done much with. He's actually irritated with me. I wonder why. Just being left off. I don't know what to do with Eric Young, which is a shame because I'm actually a pretty big Eric Young fan, but he was a face when he started out. I could change him now, but he's not my main focus at the moment. He hasn't really been impressing me with a lot of his performances. He's better as a face apparently, so I'm not really sure what to do with Eric Young, but he's maintained his popularity, so that's pretty cool. Then we have James Storm, World Tag Team Champion. Not going to talk too much about him because it's the same as Bram. Kenny King, who he was with the BDC, and then as I wanted to start splitting the BDC because low-key I was going to let him get released. He actually won the Feast or Fired briefcase, which his contract was coming up anyway, so it worked out for the best. So he won the Fired one, so low-key's now gone. I had Homicide. He's still kind of with the BDC, but he's doing his own thing. Eventually, what's going to happen? Kenny King broke off from the BDC, like I said, with the Bobby Roode feud earlier, and right now he's feuding with MVP, and I'm going to let MVP's contract expire because he's not that great anymore, and I don't really care for MVP that much. And I'm going to have Kenny King be the person that retires MVP. It'll be like, you know, a career's on the line. TNA is not big enough for the two of us. Have MVP put over King before he leaves, and then, you know, with MVP gone, the BDC is practically gone, so Homicide might do his own thing unless I decide to get rid of him, but he's been pretty impressive. And then we have Mr. Anderson. He's just been, you know, enhancement talent to the bigger stars. I don't really have any interest in doing anything with Mr. Anderson. I'm not that huge of a fan. He's not bad. He's not really that great either. Abyss hasn't really been doing much, just fodder to people before the Cain feud, and now he's going to get that TNA Tag Team title, so that's cool. ACH I recently brought in because my general manager, which we'll get to him later, he's a pretty big deal. wanted to make the TNA like it used to be, and he wanted to make the X Division great. So he's bringing in new X Division stars. ACH was one of those X Division stars, and right now he might be the person that will be the next X Division champion. It's between him and Sabre Jr. I don't know which one I want to do. I brought Sabre Jr. with the thought that I wanted to make him the next face for the X Division, but ACH has been really impressive as of late, and I think I might give it to him once I have Davey Richards take option C. Then we have Bobby Fish. I brought in Kyle O'Reilly as well, as you see down there. I haven't really been doing much with Red Dragon, which is a shame. In fact, I think I'm going to have Cain and Abyss, when they win the tag team titles, put over Red Dragon just to finally do something with them. But I'm a huge fan of Bobby Fish. I like him more than Kyle O'Reilly, which is shocking to many people. Many people like Kyle more. But I'm a big Bobby Fish fan. And I brought Red Dragon in a while back, even their exclusive paper appearance, which surprisingly that hasn't come back and bit me in the ass because no one's really negotiated with them, surprisingly. So yeah, Red Dragon is something I want to do something with. Chris Hero, I explained earlier, he was teamed up with not James Storm, with Gunner. They feuded with James Storm and Bram. They lost, and now he set the turn. He's been 11 segments by now. It's going to happen here pretty soon. He set the turn. He's going to turn on Gunner. I almost said Bram again. And then go on to probably win the U.S. Championship if he's impressing me. Eddie Edwards, unfortunately, I haven't done much with. He's just kind of been, Davey Richards' friend. He's just been there, to be honest. Henson, part of War Machine. I've been trying to build him and Raymond Rowe up with the feud with Bram and James Storm. I'm a big War Machine fan. Homicide, I explained earlier. He's just, his main thing was the X Division feud. Kyle O'Reilly's Red Dragon. I explained that with Bobby Fish. MVP, as I explained before, he had a feud with Bobby Roode. Now he's feuding with Kenny King, and it's most likely going to lead to him being, his, oh God, what has Taskmaster just like popped up out of nowhere? That's weird. It's going to lead to, his contract basically just expiring. Magnus he actually was a main eventer when I started out, and I brought him down to a mid-carder, so I haven't done Magnus justice at all. Right now he's feuding with Drew Galloway with the U.S. title on the line. It's not that I'm not a fan of Magnus, I just really don't know what to do. Like, he's just kind of been serving as the person for someone to lose to, whether, other than him winning the feud, Sheik Abdul Bashir, I brought him in along with, with the ACH and all the other X Division stars. He's been feuding with Davey Richards right now, just kind of, saying that he deserves to be, trying to get another X Division title, basically, saying he's all royalty as he's an aristocrat, as you see, so he wants to add more gold to him, Tyrus, the bodyguard of Ethan Carter III, I'm definitely trying to work on bringing him up, but it's not been working. His popularity has not been moving. He's got a good momentum on him. He just hasn't been working with me. It's just he's been stuck in the mid-card, which isn't bad, but I'd like to give him an upper mid-card status. Our lower mid-carders, we have Khoya, which it's not that I don't want to do anything with Khoya. In fact, I am kind of interested in trying to see if I can do something with Khoya, but he's not on my main attention right now. I have other things I'm paying attention to. Manic, under the mask is TJ Perkins right now. Same person that I started off with. He's just kind of been serving as a jobber in the X Division. I have thought about teaming him with Paul London, mainly because, they have an interesting fact how London took over a masked role for him, and I thought it would be cool. But London, as I mentioned with D'Angelo De Niro, works for New Japan as well, and he does not want to negotiate with me as well, so I might not do that. But I always thought that would have been kind of cool to do a Manic London feud. London was X Division champion for a while, and I know I'm skipping over him, but I'll get to him after this, since I'm already talking about Paul London. He was X Division for a while. I had him feud with Kenny King, and he actually was X Division at the time where I could have did the cash-in, the option C, and I actually had Paul London be the first person to not take option C. He said he'd rather would represent the X Division instead of, taking on Kurt Angle in a match that he's most likely not going to win. He said he's sure it's going to be a great match, but he says the X Division stands for a lot more, and that he's going to stand for the X Division and represent this title proudly. And then he went on to lose the title at Destination X in an Ultimate X match to Kenny King, so it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe I was kind of mean booking the Paul London, but at the same time I thought it would be funny, so ever since then he hasn't really done much because he shortly got hired by New Japan after that, and I haven't really been able to use him. We have Oliver Redmond here, which many of you may know as Oliver Gray. He was in NXT. He was actually a former NXT Tag Team Champion with Adrian Neville for a while. You may not know him because he wasn't around when NXT was as popular as it is now. I brought him in because he was actually getting frustrated because he was seeing no work. So I was like, maybe I'll bring him in. And then with the whole X Division thing, I was like, all right, I'll bring him in. He's not really, high flying. In fact, he's very weak in high flying. But, I figured he still fixed the X Division mold. And the X Division is not all about high flying, it's about high, fast action. And there have been, people in the X Division who weren't that way. In fact, Sheik Abdul-Bashir is nothing like a high flyer, and he's in the X Division. My apologies if you hear anything in the background. My brothers are being a little loud. Then we have Raymond Rowe, who, like I said with Henson, War Machine, I've been trying to build both him and Rowe up. In fact, Raymond Rowe has been built up because originally he was an opener and now he's a lower mid-carder. And I was trying to build, him and Henson up with the current feud, so it's been working out. Robbie E, who I'm just waiting for his contract to expire for me to let him go. I have no interest in Robbie E at all. He's just been a jobber whenever I needed someone to be a jobber. Openers, I brought in NHelico along with that X Division thing. I'm a huge fan of NHelico ever since I watched Lucha Underground, and I'm definitely looking to try to make NHelico one of the stars in my company. In fact, I believe it says he's like in my creative meeting or something like that. Ollie Burns is a British star that I was just looking through the, workers, and I saw him, and I was like, he looks like he would fit TNA's mold, so I brought him in as well. Rockstar Spud's a person that I want to kind of do something with. I just don't know what to do with. His matches don't really impress me that much, so I feel like he's going to be a little bit harder to build up, but I'm a huge Rockstar Spud fan, and I wouldn't mind trying to build him up as well. And then I brought in Sabre Jr., who is a pretty big independent British star who seems to be bleeding over here in America as well. I see a lot of people talking about how great he is. I've personally never seen a match of his, but I'd be excited to see a match of his. And he's been doing pretty well in TNA for me right now. So, as I said earlier, him and ACH are the two people I'm considering right now giving the X Division title to after Davey chooses option C. And then we go down to our enhancement talents, which I believe it's only one person, and it is Mandrews, who unfortunately, it's not that I hate Mandrews. In fact, I think Mandrews is kind of cool. I just don't know what to do with him, and he just kind of serves as a jobber. So here's my women's division. We have Angelina Love, who is part of the new beautiful people, along with Madison Rayne and Melissa Marie. I'll get to Melissa Marie. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but if you guys watch my WWE playthrough, you might recognize her from my developmental company. So you have Angelina Love, who's just been kind of doing that. I'm going to have to wrap this up pretty soon. My headset's going to die. Then we have Awesome Kong, who I brought in. I don't even know if I want to turn her face. I haven't really been doing much with Awesome Kong. I'm only thinking about turning her face to feud her with Madison Rayne, who's my Knockouts champion. Then we have Brooke, who has been set to turn heel since I've started this, but I don't really know Brooke. I don't really care for Brooke's wrestling, so I'm just kind of letting her contract expire. Or maybe I'll let Robbie E's expire and then fire. I don't know what I'm going to do. Candice Loree, I don't really know much about her as well, but I know she teams with Joey Ryan, who is actually one of my... I'm a big fan of Joey Ryan. I love him. He's great. He's talented. He's impressive. Even though I haven't hired him in here, he is in my ROH company. I'm surprised I haven't hired him in here yet. Maybe it's because I've just been focused on other things. But either way, Candice Loree I brought in because I thought it would be cool to, give her a chance because I know she's partnered up with Joey Ryan, and as I said, I'm a big fan of Joey Ryan. Gail Kim, who I haven't really been doing much with until recently, she's feuding with Madison Rayne. I've also been trying to use her and with Hamada and Io Shirai to kind of bring them up in popularity as well. I don't believe I'm going to have her beat Madison Rayne for the title. In fact, I think what's going to lead to is Melissa Marie beating Madison Rayne, but I'm not 100% on what I'm doing yet. Hailie Hatred, I brought her in as, another diva, or knockout, excuse me, not a diva, just to kind of bolster my diva knockouts division. Haven't done much with her, of course, because she's a heel. I don't have a face knockouts champion. But once I probably have a face knockouts champion, we'll see a little bit better, more from her. Hamada, she used to work for TNA. Hamada's great in the game. She always produces good matches, so I brought her in along with Io Shirai. And like I said, I've been using Gail Kim to kind of bolster these two's popularity because they are both great wrestlers, and they could also reign as knockouts champion. I brought in Caitlyn, and I named her Caitlyn Bonin because her last name is Bonin, so I just thought it would be a cool little way around WWE's naming, along with Cain, how I just spelled it differently. She actually won a Battle Royal not too long ago for a Knockouts Championship match, and she had a good 3-month feud with Madison Rayne. It was actually Caitlyn that led to the new beautiful people being formed because Rayne was threatened by her strength. So unfortunately, she didn't beat Madison for the championship, but I was impressed with her matches. So she might get a knockouts title at one point. Then we have Madison Rayne, who is arguably my best knockout. If you look at my creative meeting, she's always up there with the ring generals and the showstoppers, so it's kind of crazy how great she is. So of course I put the Knockouts title on her. I had Taryn Terrell as my Knockouts champion at first, and I didn't really do much with Taryn. Her matches weren't that impressive, so I just had a quick little feud with Awesome Kong. They didn't even have great chemistry. It was negative. And then I had her and Madison fight. She beat Madison once, and then Madison beat her. Then Madison went on to feud with Mickie James, Caitlyn, as I said before, and now she's feuding with Gail Kim. And most likely will eventually be feuding with Melissa Marie, who is better known as Cheerleader Melissa. I named her the same name in my WB playthrough I have going on, which I am still doing, guys. I'm just, like I said, I've been lagging. Melissa Marie's also, the newest member of the Beautiful People. I didn't want to do Velvet Sky again because she's a face and it's too early, so I did Love, and then I brought Melissa Marie for that. I thought that'd be cool because she's a cheerleader. The cheerleaders are always known as the beautiful ones. And eventually I'm probably going to have her turn. I don't think I can do it, not now, but I think I'm going to have her turn and lead to her dethroning Madison Rayne for the title. Then we have Mickie James, who I haven't been doing much ever since the feud with Madison. Same thing goes with Taryn Terrell. I haven't been doing much of Toxin since I brought her in. Same thing with Velvet Sky. Although I am thinking about doing a feud with Velvet after the Gail Kim feud with Madison, if I don't do Hamada or Io Shirai, just because the Beautiful People thing. I think eventually it will lead to that. And then we have Winter, who I also brought in, but haven't been doing much, mostly just because, as I said before, I have a heel women's champion, and it's not going to work out, heel versus heel. I only have one occasional wrestler, it was Rob Van Dam. He came out of a hiatus, so I brought him back to, kind of use his popularity to put young stars over, and maybe do a retirement tour. I don't have any managers. My announcers are Josh Matthews and as well as Mike Tenay. He's listed as a personality for some reason, but on my announce table, Josh Matthews and Mike Tenay are on there, as well as my color commentator, who I'm a big fan of. Definitely in my top 5. I brought in Raven to be my color commentary. I think he would also be. I think he'd be great on the commentary table. Referees, I have Charles Robinson, which I jumped the gun. Still have Brian Hebner. Earl Hebner did retire. Charles Robinson, which he was actually released by WWE. Charles Robinson, I'm a huge fan of. He's my favorite referee. I signed him right after I saw he was released and gave him 5 years. So Charles Robinson is our best referee, I think. Justin King, he was a former WWE referee. I brought him in as well. And I think I brought in Mickey Henson as well. I don't think he was working here at the moment. We'll skip the authority figure for a second. Personalities, like I said before, it's just me and Mike Tenay, despite the fact that Mike Tenay is not a personality. Road agents right now, I have Al Snow, Pat Kenny, and Tommy Dreamer. I should probably get some more. And authority figure, here's the big reveal, is Shawn Michaels. I was kind of hesitant on getting Shawn Michaels because I was kind of like, it's not that realistic, and usually when I play, I try to make it realistic. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not going to pass up Shawn Michaels. If he's willing to do business with me, I'm going to sign him. So I signed Shawn Michaels for to be my authority figure, and he's definitely been helping. But that's really just about it. One of the things I did want to show you guys are the titles before I end, because there is one thing I wanted to show you guys. When I downloaded this mod, it came with a TNA US Championship. Originally, this title was called the International title, and then I named it the Global until I noticed that we had a U.S. custom title. I was like, I might as well, take advantage of it. So that's what I went with. Either way, I hope this video wasn't too long. I, feel like it might have been a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. But either way, my headset's still yelling at me. My name's been OMG WTF LOLFTWBRB. Hope you guys enjoyed this little preview of me doing, my, just my personal TNA thing. Let me know what you guys think of it. If you like it, if you hate it, if you have any suggestions of what I could do in there, maybe I'll steal it from you. Either way, my name's OMG WTF LOLFTWBRB. I'm pretty sure I said that already. I'll see you nerds and geeks later. Have a great day.